What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So in this video I'm going to show you how to mix these vocals in Cubase 5 in 2026. So in order for you to mix vocals, you need a good recording. So leave the link in the comment section for that video so that you can see how to record vocals like a professional. So let me play this for you guys so that you can see and like know how the vocals sound like. So let's go.
Every day, niggas like to talk that shit. I be putting this for every day. Said I'm working so hard every day. Niggas like to talk that shit. I be putting this sweat every day. Said I'm putting this sweat, yeah. Said niggas somewhere every time. When I walk in the hood, brand clothes, from a sign of song. On my steps, when I walk, tryna do what I do a fake, can't do what I do. Check up on myself, every hour got a competition to another rappers, yeah. Always got getting this to me, slipping on the counter, whole night. Do this my way, get it with a passion, yeah. I said I feel free every Sunday. Back to work every Monday.
So yeah, guys, you get like the idea. So what I did on this, like on the actual track, I've used this Auto-Tune 8.1. As you can see, this is the Auto-Tune 8. These are the settings that I did just to make sure that I'm kind of like in tune with the beat. And then I've used like the vocal rider. Let me show you the vocal rider. This is the vocal rider just to make sure that the vocal is kind of like on a similar level, you know, just to level up the vocals before like the compressor. What I've used this like preset. This is the smooth ride on this, as you can see, and then I did like the fast attack, you know, to make sure that the vocal rider kind of like catches the vocal quick, because I'm kind of like rapping on this. So yeah, and then I've used this NS1 on noise suppressor just to make sure that I remove the background noise on the vocal. This is what I did on the actual track of the vocal. And then I've used this vocal bus. This is the vocal bus that I've used. This is where all the processing is happening on the vocal. So I've used this EQ RQ6, as you can see, and then I've removed like the low like frequencies up to 80 hertz just to remove that rumble room tone. So that's what I did. I didn't touch anything after that, just let the vocal sound as it is. And then I've used this SSL channel to make sure that I remove, and then I've removed like the vocals up to 80, as you can see. And then I've used and then I've boosted the high end on the vocals just to make sure that the vocals sound crispier, you know, that like to make sure that they sound like crispy, you know. So that's what I did. And then I've used this de-esser, the de-esser. I've used the de-esser to just to make sure that I catch the S sounds. So in this microphone that I'm using a Samsung C1U Pro. I've kind of like found it like the harsh S's on this frequency, so up to 6,000 kilohertz. That is where I found like the harsh S's. Then just to tame down those S sounds, and then I've used this R compressor. As you can see, these are the settings: 4:1 ratio to make sure that I grab the vocal kind of like even, like to make sure that the vocal, make sure that the compressor is compressing. And then I've used this attack, kind of like this is a fast attack, you know, but not too fast. You know, you don't want to like, you need to like listen to the vocal, to the beginning of the vocals, and then this is where like the release, like those, like to make sure that you release the compression. You don't compress all the time. And then I've used like, this is the threshold where the vocal like kind of like, I feel like this is where like the vocal needs to be grabbed, not, or to be turned down a bit. And then I've used this gain, you know, just to make sure that I bring back the volume of the vocal. And then I've used this R box just to make sure that I remove the background noise again, because I was using the compressor. So to make sure that I take that background noise out again. This is what I did for this RVox, because I like the you know the gate on it. And then I've used it just for the tone, because it has this special tone. So yeah, that's what I did. And then I've used this J37 saturation, so to make sure that the vocals are kind of like warm. This is the preset that I've used, male vocal warmth, as you can see, just to make sure that my vocals like are warm, just to remove that digital feel on it. And then I've used this delay, H delay. This is my favorite delay. These are the settings that I've used. As you can see, this is the BPM is 76, the BPM, and then you can see the BPM of the song. So to make sure that your vocals are always like in time with the beat. So you need to make sure that you know the BPM of the beat, the tempo of the beat here. And then I've used this R box, reverb. No, sorry, reverb. This is what I did after it. So this is my favorite, like, reverb, just to make sure that I keep the vocals that special sound, that record, sound. So that's all I did. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. So let me play this again so that you can hear it again.
Niggas like to talk that shit. I be putting this for every day. Said I'm working so hard every day. Niggas like to talk that shit. I be putting this sweat every day. Said I'm putting this sweat, yeah. Said niggas somewhere every time. When I walk in the hood, brand clothes, from a sign of song on my steps. When I walk, tryna do what I do a fake. Can't do what I do, check up on myself. Every hour got a competition to another.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.